public hearing is now called to order at 6:01 on Tuesday, March 9th of 2021. This hearing is being held as required by the provisions of Chapter 131, Section 40 of the General Laws of the Commonwealth, an act relative to the protection of the wetlands as most recently amended. Notice of the time and place of this hearing was published in the Advocate on March 4 of this year. It was also posted in the town clerk's office. Persons wishing to be heard will be called in the following order. Close this document and pull up the next one. Okay, so first we have minutes for approval from February 23rd. I've looked those over. I didn't see any changes to be made. I don't know if anybody else did. If not, I will entertain a motion to accept as presented.
Motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Thank you, Rick. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Heidi. Any further discussion?
No.
Go one by one. Heidi, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Everett? You have to unmute. Salt, are you there? We need your vote.
Can you text him? I don't think he can. He's on mute.
Well,
How about now?
There you go.
okay.
Am I there now?
You are.
Okay, I vote yes.
Thank you. Okay, minutes passed. Meeting mail, Merrily, any meeting mail that we should know about?
No, sir, nothing tonight.
How about that? Okay, so next, onto old business. And this came up because this is on as old business because the last time this was presented, they did not have a file number. We have an NOI, Alan Clapp, Cushing Solar LLC, Cushing Lane, map 7, lot 25, file number SE 001-0562. Property owner is Raymond White, White's Farm Incorporated. A notice of intent was filed by Alan Clapp, Cushing Solar LLC, for property located on Cushing Lane, map 7, lot 26. You may need to clean this up because one says lot 25 and one says lot 26. I'm guessing it's 25. We'll have to look at the last meeting minutes. The applicant proposes to construct a large-scale solar project, 2.0 megawatt, on a portion of the Cushing Lane field property within the 100-foot buffer zone or a bordering vegetated wetland. The applicant is represented by Stephen Joseph of SciTech Incorporated. Plan name is Cushing Solar LLC, 2 megawatt AC in Acushnet, Massachusetts, dated January 11 of 2021. I don't see any names that I recognize. I don't know
Bob,
if- Yes, Marley?
we got an email from Steve Giosa asking to continue the two of them. He's in negotiations with the fire chief at the moment.
Okay. All right, well, we have a request to continue for 2 weeks. We'll go to the next meeting on March 23rd. So I'll entertain a motion to continue to the next meeting.
So moved.
That's it. From Everett, do we have a second?
Second.
Next.
Go by one. Heidi, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Everett?
Yes.
Okay, so, and that vote was for both Cushing Lane, map 7, lot 25, file SE 001-052, and 1052 Main Street, file number SE 001-0561. Okay. On to new business. We have an RDA, Tammy M. Lemare, 216 Peckham Road. A request for determination was filed by Tammy Lemare for property located at 216 Peckham Road, map 16, lot 13A. The applicant proposes to install a new septic system with leaching field located at least 50 feet from the bordering vegetated wetland, install town water supply and abandonment of existing well. The applicant is represented by Rick Sharon of Sharon Associates Incorporated, engineers. Plan name is Plan of Site and Repair of Subsurface Sewage Disposal dated February 12 of 2021. Is there someone here to speak on behalf of this project? Merrily, any idea if Rick or someone from his firm would be joining us?
I haven't heard from him today,
Okay.
so no, I expected to see him.
I'm willing to entertain a motion to table this and go on to the next item and then come back if needed. Somebody make that motion for me.
Let's table this motion.
Okay. That's a motion from Everett. Heidi, you look like you were making a second.
I'll second, yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion?
No.
Okay. All right, Mr. Kudo, I will come back to you in just a moment. Sure thing. So Heidi, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Everett,
Yes.
Rick? Rick, how do you vote on this? Guess that's a yes. Anyway, so we'll come back to that. There was a request from Anthony Kudo to ask a question regarding, I believe, the two properties proposed by Alan Clapp, one being Cushing Lane, Cushing Solar, and the other one being Woodbridge Renewables. Mr. Kudo, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Please ask your question.
Okay, the first question is, whenever presented, these are two separate projects, correct? They always get presented as sort of together. Is it possible to procedurally separate them during the meeting?
Certainly.
I guess, and then my second question is just a general question to the board.
Sure.
I'm representing my dad, my sister, and myself with the property that's sort of sandwiched in with the two solar farms. I
Okay.
have quite a few questions and concerns, but one of the general ones I was just wondering if you guys could research is if I was to allow someone to hunt on my property, do solar farms does that take the right away from people hunting on the property?
That's a very good question.
Hmm.
I don't have an answer for you.
And I don't hunt personally, but I do let some family members hunt. I'm not sure. I know you have to be so far away from houses and stuff like that. I'm not sure if solar farms are considered like a house.
My guess is that would be up to the property owner. So that's, we can certainly find that out for you. And I'll just go back to your previous question. We did vote on these together just because we knew they were both going to be tabled. So these two projects will come back up on the March 23rd meeting. And we can certainly try to get an answer for you regarding your hunting access question.
Yes, because my main concern is we're looking at actually putting two houses on our property, possibly. And we are the direct abutter of both. So I would have a lot of concerns with that. But I'm not against people doing what they want to do with their property. But again, as being a direct abutter and looking at putting two houses there, I think when everyone looks at the project, they just look at it as a piece of property that no one's done anything with for years. But we are looking at putting houses there. So, and again, I don't know how the town. I don't know how the town makes money off solar farms. If it's a moneymaker for the town, but it seems like the town of Acushnet has quite a few that are coming in. And I hope for the town's sake that there's some money generation that comes to the town for these projects, because it seems like you guys spend a lot of time talking about them. But I'll save most of my questions for the next meeting. And I would appreciate if you would let us know about the hunting one, because I think there's probably a lot of people in town that would like that question answered too. And I'm not a big hunter, so it wouldn't affect me, but I don't disagree with people hunting either. So I would hate to tell my family members that they can no longer use the property for that. But I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Ryan, do you want to speak to this question? You're,
I would say that you can absolutely hunt it. I mean, obviously, you know what's beyond your target. You don't want to be aimed at a deer with the panels directly behind your target. But I would say what these solas are going to do is they're just going to create a new funnel point for the deer to travel. So in a sense, you can use the solar to your advantage because they're gonna hug the edge along the fence, and it's gonna push them into different areas. Me personally, I'll go on record saying I can't stand solar, but I got something in that I've been thinking of to come up with to not necessarily prevent it, but maybe to be able to conserve other lands as an incentive. But yeah, I would say that it's a go. I mean, you can hunt next to solar. It's as long as it's not posted. If Mass General Law says as long as the land is not posted, you can hunt the land. So that's the way I would go with it. Go with Mass General Law in this case, and if there's no posted signs, you can hunt any land that isn't posted, whether it's yours or not. So that's what I would go with.
yeah, and Mr. Kudo, I'll add that, access through these two separate parcels is entirely up to the landowner. And as Ryan just said, if they don't want access, they're going to have to post it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So if you're available in 2 weeks, please do tune in.
Sure, thanks.
All right, thank you. Appreciate your question. All right, so hold the agenda back up. Okay, so we have those two. So hopefully Mr. Sharon will be able to join us. So we're going to go to the next one. We have an RDA for TJA Clean Energy, 540R Main Street. A request for determination was filed by TJA Clean Energy for property located at 540R Main Street, map 11, lot 10. The applicant proposes to install a ground-mounted solar array, approximately 12,300 panels, along with a gravel access road, security fencing, stormwater measures, a transformer and battery and electrical inverters on concrete pads. The applicant is represented by Richard Tabazinski of Atlantic Design Engineers Incorporated. Plan name is 540R Main Street Solar Project, Acushnet, Mass, dated February 26th of 2021. Mr. Tabazinski, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Well, the description that we just heard relates to the entire project, which again is about a 12.9 acre solar project, a fairly good sized project. But in terms of the Conservation Commission impacts and wetland impacts, it is a very small, minor project. Essentially, we've been able to keep the vast majority of the project outside of the 100-foot buffer zone. So in front of you is an RDA, which basically just describes the work that's being proposed within the buffer zone, which is a limited amount of the project. It's only about 5,000 square feet. The closest work limit to the wetland area is over 70 feet away, there will be no tree clearing within this limit of work. It's all within an open field that abuts the wetland area, and there only will be proposed erosion control measures, a fence, and just a few corners of some of the proposed solar panels will be within the buffer zone. So the work related to the wetlands on the property is very, very small in scope. And that's the reason we felt an RDA was an appropriate filing for this project. A couple other things I might want to mention is that the wetland boundary itself was approved through an ANRAD process basically about a year ago, back in January or February 2020. So the wetland line was locked in at that point. The project also has been presented informally to the Mass Division of Fisheries and Wildlife, because a portion of the property is has been mapped for the box turtle habitat. And so through those conversations and informal discussions with Natural Heritage, it's been agreed that there'll be a conservation restriction put on basically 23.9 acres of the site. The site itself is about 38.9 acres, but almost 24 acres of the site will be put into a permanent conservation restriction as a result of the negotiations and talks with the Division of Fisheries and Wildlife. So that the application is pending before the state. We need to work out conservation and management permit conditions and stuff like that, but essentially that's what is being proposed is a conservation restriction on a good portion of the property. And then on the remaining portion, again, the work that's within your jurisdiction under the Conservation Commission is very, very limited. So that's where we stand as of today. We also have a filing with the planning board, when there's some hearings coming up later in March. But we feel that the RDA was an appropriate avenue to request your endorsement or approval of the project. But that is, at this point, I'll leave it open to questions or any comments from the commission, and we'll go from there.
Over to you, Merrily. Thank you, Mr. Tabazinski.
I'm curious about stormwater. Can you explain it a little bit? Sure. The stormwater system that's been designed for the site is within the DEP stormwater management standards and the town's stormwater management bylaw. Essentially, all the stormwater measures that being proposed are on the, I guess would be this southwest corner of the site, which is out basically on the other end of the property. In doing the analysis for what's draining towards the wetlands on the property, there was basically no effect on the stormwater calculations for what was draining to the wetlands to the east. All the panels are being proposed within an open field area with minimal land clearing being proposed, or even no grading being proposed in that area. So essentially the pre-development runoff and the post-development runoff towards the wetland areas turned out to be, basically the same, so that no physical stormwater measures were required along the wetland edge or for any portion of the site draining towards those wetlands. The majority of the site drains in the other direction, basically, and that's where all of the stormwater measures were proposed. Excellent.
Thank you. Does anybody in the commission have any questions for Mr. Tabazinski?
I do.
Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, you said the majority of the water flow, it flows in which direction again?
Well, from the site, mainly to the southwest.
Southwest. Okay.
Yeah. There's a ridge line that kind of comes up along. There's an existing cart path that runs in the middle of the property, and there's a ridge line there that
a portion of the site does drain to the east towards the wetlands, but the majority of the site drains to the west,
The
the
west.
southwest.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Rich, who's gonna own the conservation restriction? Is that gonna be the state?
Well, that is up in the air at this point. We were hoping that perhaps the town or the Conservation Commission would take ownership of that, but we haven't formally made that request or application yet.
Okay.
But that would probably be our first shot at trying to have the town obtain ownership of it. If that doesn't work, then we would we'd have to seek other avenues, whether it be a private entity or Wildlands Trust or some other, or other state agency or something, if the town doesn't want it or doesn't vote to approve it. So that would basically, that's where we stand. But it's a little early in the process to find out exactly, to determine exactly who's going to own it. But that would be our first shot at it, is to try to have the Town Conservation Commission own it.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else on the commission with questions for Mr. Tabazinski? We have someone else tuned in. I don't know, sir. It says Ellen's iPad, if you were here for this topic or for a different one. I'm guessing you're not here for this one. Okay. And Mr. Kudo, if you didn't want to stay for the rest of the meeting, we would not be insulted if you left. Just letting you know. So anyway, so any other questions from anybody in the commission from Mr. Tabazinski? If not, we can vote on this. All right. I'll entertain a motion for a negative determination for 540R Main Street. Motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Heidi. Any further discussion? All right, going across the way, I see you on my screen. I'll start with you, Heidi. How do you vote?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Everett?
Yes.
That's unanimous. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Tabazinski.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Agent updates. I'll go to you first, Merrilee, and then we can get to our enforcement order, or we can include enforcement order under agent updates.
Okay, the big thing that's going on this week is the MVP workshop is Friday. Hopefully, at least some of you will be able to make it. It's a Zoom call, and it goes from 9 to 1, probably less than 1, but it's going to be a long meeting. But it's a planning meeting to discuss vulnerabilities of the town due to climate change. So, like I said, if any of you can attend, it would be much appreciated. Beyond that, we had the violation for Wilfred Lane. I haven't seen Mr. Addo here, so I don't know where exactly where that's at this point. I'm not sure what you want me to do about that.
Well, we can certainly talk about observations of what we saw Saturday. So we have an issue with, an interesting wetland line and what looks like fill right up to the line, certainly. Combination of brick, concrete, maybe a little bit of fill. Merrilee, you mentioned a patio. I don't know what the status of that patio is, if that was something that would require an RDA after the fact.
Yeah, it's not permitted as of now.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna have to request that filing.
So do you want me to issue an enforcement order?
Yes, I think for this, because we have a patio that was certainly built in the buffer zone and there was no filing for it, then yeah, we have to ask him to file an after the fact RDA.
Okay, I'll
Um,
get that out tomorrow.
Okay. Everett,
The gentleman on the iPad is one of the abutters of that property, and I think you'd like to speak to the issue.
yeah, that's what I was guessing. Sir, you're welcome to speak and ask questions if you'd like. And for the record, just because this is all recorded, we would need your name. You're still on mute. Still, yeah, we still don't hear you. And I don't have an iPad. I can't be of any help.
There should be a mute button on the top.
I have the option
corner.
here, right?
There you go. All right,
There we go.
better?
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Okay. The property that abuts me has been
Would you, just for the record, tell us who you are?
Barry Montallo.
Thank you.
Okay, the property abuts my property, and it was wetlands. It was wetlands for the longest time. It's been, the trees have all been taken down, removed. The property itself has been filled by Pico, and I guess he's the one that he must have agreed to him and went and got the stuff. But they've been dumping probably for a summer now, if not more. And they've been filling it. And he's pushing back further and further to the line of my property. Now, what I'm thinking is that whatever's in that ground, between the trash, bags, everything and anything that's in there, from the street back, from the drywall and everything else, is trash. It's deep in there. That's what I'm saying. So that should be addressed of how far it goes down, how far deep it is. Because it was water at one time. It was a river that went through there.
Because my kids used to play in it.
Yeah, my kids used to play over there.
Are you on Wilford Lane or are you on Ward Street?
I'm on Wilford.
Okay.
I'm the butter. I'm the guy that you parked out in front of his driveway.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So what I'm
Yep.
trying to get to is I just think the removal of everything that was over there without permitted, without anything, and then just filled because he wanted a bigger front yard. That's all he's done. And he's taken care of it. And the patio and stuff that was there, that's there, well, guess what? That was cleared too to make that. So I don't know what you guys can do about it, but I just think it's, I don't think it's right to have it done. That's all I got to say.
So your assertion is that everything that's right up against the flag line of the wetlands that are between, so on the east side of the driveway that goes to his house, which is the side closest to your house, I'm guessing,
Yes,
that's been filled in.
filled in. If you took a bulldozer and you opened it up, you would see the trash that's inside there. Between concrete, bricks, Pico's dumpings of everything that they could think about to grab to dump over there to make fill. That's been put in there. So I don't know what you want to do about it, of how you go about it. But if that stuff isn't gonna leach into the water or anything that's got it in it or whatever, I'm not a guy that knows all that stuff, but I just don't think it's right to have been done. They've been able to clear all that stuff.
Anything else we should know?
No, at this time, no. Just stop the cutting of the trees, because the trees are still cutting, so. You know,
Okay. Thank you.
and Everett lives close to me, so Everett would know, you know what I'm saying? Also what's been over there, you know what I'm saying?
alrighty.
But I don't know what you want to do about it. It's up to the board of, you know what I'm saying? The protection of that, the protection of that
And,
land.
They had tagged some of the trees.
Yeah, and all the trees that are in the front,
There
that
was pink ribbons.
the ribbons
Right.
were actually pink at one time, and they were just removed.
That would have been a wetland flag line.
Yeah, and they were just removed, taken down. Tree's gone. I think I showed the young lady that works for you, where the tags were. They were on the ground because the trees are gone. Everything from the street inward was woods, was trees, and now they're gone.
What would you guess the time frame is on this? 5
At
years?
least a year and a half.
What's that?
Last year, we're up to that right now. He did it all last year. Last year and the year before that, he was just filling away.
Okay. All right, looks like we got a little investigation to do here.
Yeah, if you took a bulldozer and you dug, you would see.
Right.
You would see how much trash is in the ground. And Pico should have known that they were dumping illegally in that area. You know, that's not a landfill or anything like that. It's someone's front yard. You know, I don't know what you do about that. So
We've had stuff pulled out before, and we've asked for things to be removed and restored.
yeah, there's still stuff over. There's nothing's been removed. Nothing's been touched.
Nothing.
Nothing. The drywall's still there from all the work he's had done in his house. They've been throwing the drywall on the ground. Nothing's changed. Drywall's still on the ground. Nothing's picked up. Nothing's cleaned. You can see it through the side of my window of my house. You know, and he's cleared so much that when I came here, I bought the property so I could have the property so that there's a buffer between everybody. I lived in the city and I moved out here, right? But I wanted to have the buffer so that nobody was around me because I lived in a 3 tenement. Closest neighbor was 10 feet from me, and I wanted that buffer, and that's why I moved here. And now I can see his whole front yard, everything. It's not what should have been where I wanted it to be when I moved out here.
Yeah, and our jurisdiction is certainly dealing with buffer zone work and wetlands work. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted the wetlands itself is one of the biggest things, you know, it's filled. No more wetlands over there. And so it's been filled. The river's blocked. Used to be a stream that flowed through it. That's where the water went when it came out of the people's driveways. It went down in there and straight across.
Did it drain east towards the river?
It drained east, yes, towards the river.
The river.
It doesn't do that anymore. And I know most of my property itself all drains to the river. I got the 6 acres that splits the 2 lots. And my 6 acres, I had never touched, it goes through. His 6 acres, now it was blocked. When my children used to play out there in the woods, you know, all kids do. So I don't know.
I do know. I played in the woods.
Huh?
I did. I do know. I played in the woods.
Yeah, I still do. You know, I've been a hunter for a long time. But I don't hunt on my property anymore. I don't hunt here at all. I hunt Nova Scotia, I hunt other places, but I won't hunt here. My wife would kill me if I shot a deer in the back. She likes to see Bambi running around.
They're back there.
Yeah, I know they are.
I've chased them.
Yeah. I seen about 8 the other morning. Yesterday night I saw it. They come right across, right through my back property, right out into the Babineau's yard, and then they jump over the rock wall and they run out that way.
Yep.
But I got them all the time. I got so many videos of them just sitting in the backyard eating. They wipe out my my plants in the back all the time. It's hard to keep them. But that's where I'm at. I don't know what to how to rectify this.
You just mentioned video. Do you have any photos of that
Yes,
front yard of yours from,
the front yard or his front yard?
well, either, like anything that could be used as photo reference for us?
If you go to base map, and I can
Even
show
if
you,
it's
if you give me,
If
you
it's
give me 1
5
second.
old, those kinds of things.
Give me 1 second, okay? Ellen, where's my phone? Where's my phone? All right, I'm back. Sorry, that took so long.
Yeah. And we don't necessarily need these now, but if these are the kind of things that you can share with the agent, that'd be great to have.
I have no problem with it. Trying to find my street here. Give me 1 second. Okay. I don't know if you can see that. Can you, over here, where's the camera?
Right there's good.
Okay, right there's good.
Yeah.
See, out of my driveway comes this way. You can see the car park there. To the right of this picture, you'll see all the trees. All them trees have been removed. Oops, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. But
All of them. And you can see up where his where is it? Up here, up in the top part here, up here, where he had his the little patio there, and then everything else is missing. You know?
Okay. Yeah, so that's the kind of thing you can send to the agent. That would help.
I have no problem with that.
Okay.
No problem with that. It's just you can literally see the trees are right up to the road. You know? So I don't know what to do.
Okay.
That's why I just want, you know what I'm saying? Just fix it. Just it's not right. You know?
Thank you for your time and your input. Appreciate it.
Yep.
And,
All right.
do you know how to contact the agent? Marilyn
The who? The
Marilyn
agent?
Kelly, she's our conservation agent. You can find the information.
Yes, I do. I've called her.
Okay. Yeah.
That's how this whole thing started. I called.
Okay.
You know, so I know how to recall. You know, I'll call back and do whatever has to be done.
Yep. Photos certainly help. Thank you.
Okay.
So
Now
anybody,
you know mine. I'll just listen in for a little bit and you know.
super.
Right.
Anybody else with questions or comments on 4 Wilford Lane then?
Yeah,
Frederick and then Everett.
Barry, right? Is that your name, sir? Barry?
That's correct. Yeah.
Barry, just to make sure I got this right, you can see drywall from the side of your house where the wetlands are?
Yes.
Drywall piled up there.
Yes.
Okay.
Can't miss it. Look out the
Yeah.
side window. It's white.
Yeah, we saw some construction.
Yeah, we saw some materials there too.
You didn't go all the way in the back of it.
No, we
You had
didn't.
to go to almost to the side. I know where you guys were. I know how far you walked up to.
Right.
Nobody walked into the side of his property to I'm saying to the woods or wood line.
Yeah, no, we didn't. No.
Yeah, I know. I watched. I was there, and I thought you guys were gonna come and ask me questions for anything because I was his neighbor, but no one popped in. You know.
We're glad you tuned in tonight.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys do about it. It's not, you know. Does anybody else have any more questions for me?
Everett, you had your hand up.
Yep.
Is that me, Bob?
Yes.
I think that as of right now, we probably issue a cease and desist on that project
Sure.
and have him come up with a notice of intent or whatever, and what he thinks he can do and what he can't, and we can have a better chance of telling him what he can't do if we just I mean, there's definitely plaster and shit up there, pardon me, my French, but there is definitely plasterboard and construction debris that is there, because I went up there on Saturday after I got a call from, Friday rather, after I got a call from Joanne, because there was a complaint about him cutting a tree down. So I did go over there. I was right up in there, right up in his yard. There's plenty of stuff that shouldn't be in a wetlands. And I did look at the Mass GIS, and it looks like there was a massive wetland between the two houses originally. And I think if we look at that again on Oliver, you'll see that there's supposed to be a big wetland right there.
So I like Everett's suggestion of a cease and desist of work on that property
Yeah.
until we can get a determination of what's been filled. So he's definitely got to file an RDA for the patio, but there may have to be some removal of fill. So in Merrill, it sounds like in not only an RDA, but in enforcement order to just stop any work on the property.
I'll write that up tomorrow.
Okay, well, let's take a vote. I'll entertain a motion.
Excuse me, I apologize. Underneath the patio is where the trash is also. The patio was put there and it was stamped. Okay?
Right.
But underneath it is also the fill. You know, the
Yeah,
people that lived there prior to that, they didn't touch
Pardon me?
any of the people that lived there prior to him. They were there for a long time and they didn't touch nothing because they knew that it was all environmental. It was all wetlands. That's why they never touched it. I apologize for getting into that.
No, it's good to hear. So, motion for an enforcement order for 4 Wilfred Lane to cease and desist any further work on the property.
I make a motion for an enforcement order for Wolf.
Second.
Second,
Any further, second from Everett, any further discussion?
Nope.
We'll go as I see you on my screen. Heidi, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Everett?
yes,
That's unanimous. And then also he'll have to do an RDA for that patio. The patio is built within a buffer zone. You can certainly file an RDA for that. Okay. Any further discussion on this topic?
No.
Okay. Let's get back to the Peckham Road property. I know it would be nice to have the engineer present this, but most of us were out there on Saturday. Project seems pretty straightforward and completely necessary. How do we feel about voting on this? I mean, we all saw the plans on Saturday as well. Marilee, what's your advice on this?
It like you said, it's pretty straightforward. So I can't imagine that he's going to add a whole lot to what you've already seen.
Okay. So I think since this has been tabled, I need to make a motion to reopen this part of the hearing. Somebody wants to make that motion.
I'll make that motion to reopen this
Do we
part
have
of
a
the hearing.
second?
I'll second.
Thank you. And I'll just do a wave vote. How do we vote to reopen? Just give a wave as a yes. Okay. All right, so that's reopened. So I will reread this. So we have a request for determination filed by Tammy Lemire for property located at 216 Peckham Road, map 16, lot 13A. The applicant proposes to install a new septic system with leaching field located at least 50 feet from the bordering vegetated wetland. Install town water supply and abandonment of existing well. The applicant is represented by Rick Sharon of Sharon Associates Incorporated Engineers. Plan name is Plan of Site and Repair of Subsurface Sewage Disposal dated February 12 of 2021. I think everybody on the call was there for the site visit. This is a small lot, two small houses sharing a septic. And, you know, so the cesspool is going to be filled, and they're going to add, you know, they're going to put in a new septic system and get town water. It's not a complicated project. None of it's happening in the wetland. Some of it's within the buffer zone. Erosion control was listed on the plan, and it's an improvement over the current situation. I don't know what else to say, Marilee. Any further comments from you?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. And Mr. Sharon tends to propose solidly engineered plans as well. So if we're feeling comfortable with this, I'll entertain a motion to issue a negative determination for this project. Someone's gonna make that motion.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Ryan. Rick, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Heidi. She waved first. So any further discussion?
No.
All right, as I see you on my screen, Heidi, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Everett?
Yes.
That's unanimous. Any other agent updates, Marilee?
Not that I can think of at the moment, no. There's a lot of solar fields that we're looking at for, you know, that are coming up in for site plan review with the planning board, but most of them you guys have already seen.
Right.
So, but beyond that, it's kind of just the routine stuff.
Okay. And it seems like some are waiting for whatever connections or negotiations have to happen with the utility companies, although a couple of them are being built. Okay. Anybody else with business for the commission?
I got some stuff. All right.
Okay.
Where do we start? Well, all right. I tuned into the selectmen meeting. I saw Marilee speak with the selectmen. And I was curious as to, you know, they seemed pretty concerned about losing revenue with putting a conservation restriction on the 88 Wing Lane property. And I was curious how that was gonna work out too, you know what I mean? It didn't seem like they were too interested in the town putting the conservation restriction and ownership of that restriction and maintaining that open space, because they feared that you know, the town would be losing revenue because of it. I don't know how that works, so I'm gonna do some research. I don't know if anybody has any intel on that and how that works with the conservation restriction, because that just came up again with the what is it, 504 Main Street, or 540 Main Street. So that, you know, that's going to be another bridge we're going to cross if it's going to be the same thing. So I'm all for conservation restrictions on a lot of stuff, you know, so I was interested in that.
My understanding about the loss of revenue is tax money
Right.
on the parcel, but which is why I told them I think they're going to lose it anyway. There's going to be a conservation restriction on that property, whether we hold it or somebody else holds it.
Right,
So
because
it's going to be
Right.
unbuildable because of the conservation restriction.
right.
So I think it changes the tax status of the property. And I think
Regardless.
that's how they lose money.
Right.
Yes, regardless of our role in it. Yes.
Whether it was Buzzards Bay Coalition or whatever. Yes.
That's my
agree.
understanding. Yeah.
Isn't there an issue on that property also with species protection? I thought that was. I thought that.
Yes,
was there too,
that's
right?
why they have the conservation restriction, is
Oh,
so
okay.
that the species are protected.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that particular one is almost 62 acres.
Yeah,
So
it's quite big, right?
nice piece.
Yeah.
Right. Also, I caught Selectman DeRoche made a comment about hunting on conservation land, and I noted that Selectman Gaspar was all for it. It wasn't really a formal vote or anything, but I did note that they recognized it and they seem to be all for it. So that's a plus. I don't know if we need something formal. I took that as formal as it could possibly be, but that's just me. So moving along. All right, solar. Mary Lee just said we got a lot of solar stuff going on in town. I've been on record saying I'm not a fan of it. This particular project that we just agreed upon, that's no problem. It's an open field, you know. There's been a couple of projects that are just open fields. The one that we just tabled till the next meeting is also an open field. The one that's in between two properties that Mr. Kudo was talking about, that's clear cutting woods to put in solar. That's my issue. How much, I mean, what are we really saving, you know, the environment and whatever by clear cutting 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 acres of land to put in solar? You got all these machine, all this equipment, all this diesel, all this trucking, all this other stuff. And then, you know, you got 25 years of oxygen being removed from our town, cutting down 60 acres of trees. There's got to be some sort of, and I thought of this idea because they're raising hunting license prices, tags, all this other stuff. And I'm like, what can be done to create revenue for mass wildlife? Because there's a shortage. So you got all these solar projects going in. Whether I'm just curious whether it could be something we do as a town, or it had to go through state legislation as to, let's put a tax on these solar companies, and well, you could call it like a wildlife relocation tax. You're clear cutting 60 acres of land to put in solar, and you're removing 60 acres of habitat for wildlife, deer, foxes, fishes, all this other stuff. And the money that is taxed to these solar companies, which would be an annual tax like I pay for property or excise or whatever else, that money can go into a fund in order to put conservation restrictions, or make it as an incentive to the homeowner. Like, listen, I can't build on this lot because it's landlocked, but instead of cutting down the 60 acres of land, I could put a conservation restriction on it, and whatever, receive funds from this fund or whatever. You get what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I know it's the town's all about the bottom dollar, and I understand that, because I don't want my taxes to go up either. But in the same sense, like, I don't want to look around at every piece of woods and just see glass facing the sky.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I don't know if this is something that could be voted on through town meeting, or if it would have to go through state legislature to put this fee towards these solar companies. But it seems like they're being welcomed with open arms, and I think, you know, there is a silent majority of people in this town that don't want to see them. Granted, you can't, I'm not one to say, hey, listen, you can't do that with your land, that's your land. But in the same sense, like, what good is this? What's the benefit to the town other than revenue?
And I don't think they realize like how many other people are doing it, and like where are all these animals going to go, and how does it change everything, the rivers, everything, you know, for the woods and the wildlife.
I mean, tonight at the select meeting, they were talking about a pilot program and how they're going to be receiving funds from, you know, these solar fields going up. And, you know, I don't think it's all about the bottom dollar. I think it's about quality of life and quality of wildlife as well. You know what I mean? So that's just
the problem, as I understand it, is that solar is an as of right zoning issue. So if you want to put up a solar field, you're allowed to. The town can't stop them.
right.
That's how I understand it. So yes, if we could put some money towards it, towards, you know, helping the wildlife, that would be great.
Right, and the big thing is, it's these big solar companies coming in, making offers to people with all these parcels of land, and they're leasing the land off these homeowners. So the homeowners are making money in that sense. And I don't want to say it would be a deterrent, this tax, but it would definitely be something they're not gonna just throw up a small parcel because, they know they're gonna get taxed. I don't know. I feel like something's got to be done, and that would be the best way to do it, would be to at least be able to, all right, so like a tip for tat, you're gonna put a 40-acre 2 megawatt solar field in here, but revenue from that field every year could go towards conserving a piece of land over there. You know what I mean? Not just, there's got to be some, it seems like they're just, every week we have solar. Every single week there's a new field going up.
And, and just to add to what Ryan said, like, I drove by Mendel Road on Sunday at the Greenbrier camp. That's all been cleared out in the front there already. I don't know for what purpose. Now that, I'm assuming that's got nothing to do with the solar farm in the back. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's 2 house lots in the front of that one.
Okay. So but either way, so that project is an example of how many trees need to be cleared just to get that off the ground.
Yeah.
As much as I think all of us believe in renewable energy, and our state is at the forefront of renewable energy, and and making this push, I think there's got to be a balance. And I don't know how we as a commission can find that balance. I'm not sure. I don't know if that's outside our jurisdiction or what, but yeah.
No, I don't. I think it is outside
There's a
our
lot.
jurisdiction. I'm just curious
Yeah.
whether it would have to go through the state legislator or if it was something we could do as a town.
Yeah. Yeah.
I figured
yeah.
I figured it could be brought up by us because it involves us.
Yeah. Yeah. There's got to be a balance, I think. I mean, that balance seems to be tipping more towards leasing and developing all this land for solar farms. And I think it's got to stop tipping the other way a little bit too. So
I wonder if the lawyer of the town would know anything.
That's exactly why I asked about a moratorium at the last meeting.
oh
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
My one consideration to throw out there is the difference. So if property owner decides not to go solar, but then to sell it for development, have a development for every dollar you bring in for taxes, is probably costing the town $1.06 for services, versus solar, it's not gonna, you're gonna get $1 in taxes. It's not gonna cost you $1 for services. And I know that bottom line is definitely part of the discussion.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with what Ryan is saying. I totally agree with it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, well, it's an interesting idea to try to use some sort of incentives, or as a way for a solar project, if it's cutting down trees, to try to be put towards some other habitat preservation somewhere else.
Yeah.
And the last thing, the MRCC annual meeting. Marilee, you signed me up for 2 classes. Can I take all the ones I gave you the list for?
Oh, yes. I'll sign you up for the other 2. I need to call them tomorrow. And I'll get you signed up too, Rick.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the reminder about the MAC annual meeting. I should sign up for the business part of things anyway, that Saturday morning stuff.
You want me to do that?
Yeah, let me have a look at the calendar again, just to make sure that morning's open. So
Okay.
I go on the site, right, to find out where I'm at as far as classes.
Yes. There's a login and password that you should have. But if you don't, I can find out for you.
Okay.
Yeah, but if they send you any emails, then you'll have that login and password info. It's macweb.org, I think, is the site. Okay. Anybody else with business for the commission? Okay, our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, February 23rd. Again, it'll be a Zoom meeting starting at 6 p.m. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Ryan. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye or wave.
Aye.
Aye and wave.
Thank you, John, over at Acushnet Cable.
Yeah. Thanks,
All
guys.
right, y'all have a nice evening.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, there you go.